So there's a new indie vampire movie that is out that you can rent right now, and I got a chance to check it out. Let's get into it. What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing a spoiler-free review of Bogieville, which is a new indie film that was in the festivals like a year ago that I tried to catch and do a review of, but I didn't get a chance to, and is finally out for VOD, and you can rent it now for like $4. Bogieville is about a young couple who are on the run. They basically lose their jobs and just kind of disappear into the night with each other because they want to stay together, and they figure they'll start a new life somewhere else instead of this small podunk town where they were working. They happen upon a man who is taking care of a farm that's not exactly doing farming, but more of a protecting gig for creatures of the night. And this small little town with trailers called Bogieville. And of course, he fills them in on what he's doing. And his business is vampires. They talk, they're not just hungry beasts, even though they look crazy and amazing and demonic as hell. They don't necessarily kill everything that's right in front of them. And this is a movie that's trying to do sort of an action drama instead of what I thought it was going to be, which is an action gore film that was indie, and there was going to be loads of humor tucked in. Now, there is humor in here, but it's a very dry humor, and it doesn't necessarily time itself 100% well. Now, I wasn't personally a fan of this movie, but I could see some people that might like it. My personal issues with it, not necessarily the acting. The acting is actually tolerable, but some of the dialogue that are between the characters felt kind of fluffy, didn't really get to the point really quick. It's shot well, it looks great, but it just feels like some of the scenes go on for longer than they really needed to. And I feel like it was too much fluff and not enough like gore. Like, I wanted to see what I thought this was going to be, is a gore film with like a lot of comedy and a lot of crazy, decapitations and all this stuff with what I thought were demons the first time I saw it. But it turns out they're actually vampires. And the makeup job that they did on these characters, on these creatures rather, of the night, are amazing. But everything else kind of pales in comparison, and it's not just because they haven't seen daylight for a very long time. So just don't go in expecting a ton of gore. It's mostly just wounds and fake blood and blood. This movie has quite a few issues in the dialogue department. The story is kind of tropey. It feels like something I've seen before, even though it may not be exactly like it. And obviously, they're going for an indie sort of film, except I feel like this movie needed more of a budget to really do what it was trying to do. I watch a lot of indie films, and I understand how hard it is to want to make a big movie, but you can't. This movie they spent about $200,000 to $300,000 on for a feature film. Doing everything right and shooting it well is actually not that much money. Some people can make magic work with like nothing. There's a lot of work that has to be done, and there's a lot of people that work on these films, and you want them to all get paid. Sometimes it's not as cheap as we'd like it to be, and sometimes we don't get the money that we want to make the films that we need to. I say we, meaning just filmmakers in general, really have a hard time trying to make a quality film without money. That said, it feels like this movie needed the gore and a better sort of story and dialogue to go with this. Also, there's no atmosphere that I felt in this movie, and the lack of gore and those two things alone wasn't enough for me to really sink my teeth into this film. Pun intended. Sean Cronin, who is the director of this movie, is a longtime villain actor. He's done a ton of different stuff. You've probably seen him before. He actually plays a lot of the like villain roles in like the big action movies, which, by the way, Sean Cronin also stars in this movie as one of the vampires. Got this long teeth, and it's a little hard to hear what he's saying, but it's pretty cool. In this particular movie, I know he's shooting for the moon and he only has so much, and it really, I think, hinders this movie from being the success that it could have been. We probably could have had a better dialogue with the characters, probably cut out some more of the fluff, added some more scenes to kind of make it feel like it's moving along. It really does kind of slow itself out, and the story isn't exactly great. And without having the best actors, I'm not saying these are terrible actors, I've seen so much worse, it really does hinder the movie again in that aspect as well. So I'm literally at about a 4 out of 10, unfortunately, on this one. I really did not enjoy this one, but I can see that there is quality there. And I know that if they had the money, like even just $1 million, this could have been a much better film altogether. And I think that moving forward, and this is just my personal opinion, if I were to do a film, I would condense it into a smaller film with extra goodies, less actors, and try to focus on something that would give you an atmosphere, something that you could make a lot of interest off of for nothing, and then do your big vampire picture, because these movies are expensive, and I just don't think that the money was there for this one. But there are some good ideas in it. Some of the things that they did in the movie I liked. I can't say what those things are. There's like quite a few different vampires in it, and I really honestly think that it was just really cool looking vampires, but not in a really cool movie, unfortunately, for me. Now, that said, I think the director is competent enough to be able to do something in the future, and I sure hope they do get the chance to do it. I think this just isn't the movie. The whole beginning of the movie where they're losing their jobs just kind of takes me right out of like the seriousness of the film, because they try to play this movie straight and try to play it serious with like slight humor, you know, to try to give it that sort of entertainment value like a mainstream movie would. But it's just so unbelievable. Like, a guy gets fired from his job and he's the only mechanic. That just doesn't happen. Okay? The guy, if he's the only mechanic at a mechanic shop, then there is no mechanic shop anymore. And it just doesn't make a sense. And even the character in the movie expresses this, and it still doesn't help to pad things over for me as a viewer to make sense of it. And then the girlfriend in this movie, who is his partner, and she works at a bar, and she just breaks a bottle over the owner's head. And I'm just like, okay, I guess they're leaving town. It just needed to be a tighter script. They needed to think about it a little bit better. The dialogue was just not good for me, and I wish I could say more about it. I have to be honest, this is my reputation and my personal feelings on this. This in no way means that I am not rooting for people who make movies like this. I want to see them make movies because I want to see more movies. But this one just didn't do it for me. Like I said, 4 out of 10 overall, and I think that's even kind of high. It could go lower. I just feel like it did look good. There were some aesthetic things that I really did like about it, so I wanted to give it just a little bit more. But unfortunately, this is a low renter for me. But if you want to check it out for yourself, highly recommend you do it on renting it and checking it out that way. It's only $3.99 on any of your digital platforms. If you're not a big gore fan and that doesn't bother you, maybe you'll like this film. I don't know. But I would keep your expectations a little bit low, towards the middle, you know, because this isn't going to blow your mind. But the practical, like, makeup effects is pretty cool. Let me know what you think. Did you get to see Bogieville in the festivals last year? Did you rent it recently, or are you thinking about renting it? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. But thanks for coming by. And remember, there is a monster in your closet. There's also one under the bed now. And if you don't hurry and fix this problem, there's going to be one in the attic. Thanks for coming by, and as always, long live the void.